Hello, this is Greg Hatzis, and this is a mixed methods research proposal outline, the title of which is The Impact of Goal Orientation on the Social Emotional Health of High School Students. The problem that we're trying to address is that the high school students are experiencing tremendous amounts of stress, and these are basically caused by the college admissions process and the grading procedures that are used in high schools. And these have a negative impact on well-being. And what we see is that chronic stress can have a terrible impact on students. Their internalization could lead to drug use, alcohol use, or other risky behaviors. The research also tells us about the idea of a goal orientation, which is how a student focuses on a task. And it also helps us to define some key motivational drivers for students. There are two main types of goal orientation. The first of which is called a mastery orientation. And this is a student who will focus on understanding, skill acquisition, and they don't rely on the external measures to judge their own success. They focus on the impact of a task on their future and their learning and their intrinsic desire to learn. A student, in contrast, who has what's called a performance orientation, will focus on competing with others, looking to gain favor or sidestep embarrassment or other negativity. External factors such as grades and others' approval serve to be their measures of success. These students are extrinsically motivated. The research says that mastery orientation is preferable because it impacts long-term learning in a more positive way where students enjoy learning and are more deeply engaged. So what this study contributes to the overall realm of research is that it focuses on suburban students at a high-performing high school where 95% of the population is seeking to attend college after high school. And they are thus faced with constant pressure to perform well academically and increase their chances of college admission. This is a profile that is common among many high schools. And also, if a particular goal orientation has either a positive or negative impact on student well-being, schools could operationalize their procedures to help manage student stress and mitigate the negative impacts of the stress. So here are the research questions. Number one is, does a student's goal orientation affect his or her well-being? And that will be measured in both the quantitative and the qualitative measures of the study. The second question is, does the level of course rigor affect a student's goal orientation? So this is whether the student is taking an advanced placement class or a regular level college prep class, and does that affect how they're motivated? And finally, the mixed methods question is, do the focus group responses from students explain or provide further insight to the survey responses? So now we'll take a look at the sampling in the quantitative portion of the study. The target population is suburban high school students planning to attend college, and the sampling frame is 11th and 12th graders who have, by their third and fourth year of high school, established what their goal orientations will be. Half the sample will be enrolled in AP courses, and the other half will be enrolled in college preparatory classes. Should be a relatively even distribution of girls and boys, as well as similar racial ethnic breakdown to the entire school population. The sampling procedure is a non-probabilistic, convenient sampling approach. And the reason for this is because we need individuals to be available and accessible, but who also fit the criteria of the different levels of rigor so that we can answer research question number two. So 4 AP courses and 4 college prep courses will be chosen based on that even distribution of gender as well as racial and ethnic background. So the total estimated size of the quantitative sample would be about 160 to 190 students based on a class average of 20 to 24 students. In the qualitative portion, the target population and the sampling frame are basically the same as you can see here. The sampling procedure, however, will be a purposeful maximal variation sampling. The reason for that is because we need to intentionally select participants who have experienced the phenomenon of grading and college pressures, and they also have to have experienced the survey from the quantitative portion of the study. So all of the members are in a subgroup with these distinctive characteristics of the rigor of the class and a particular grade orientation. So basically, we'll choose 6 to 8 students from the AP courses and 6 to 8 students from the college prep courses, and they will be invited to be a part of a focus group with a mix of the goal orientations as well as their grade level. So the total estimated size is 12 to 16 students. So now we'll take a look at the mixed method study design for this particular proposal. It's an explanatory sequential design. And the reason is because this design uses qualitative data to help explain why the quantitative results occurred. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at this flowchart. You have the quantitative data, which is collected and analyzed, the qualitative data, which is collected and analyzed, and then integrated together at the end for the conclusion. In terms of timing of the design, the survey will take place in November, which is after the due date for the early application admissions to college, which is a very stressful time for students because we want to minimize that confounding variable. The focus groups will take place soon after that, probably in December. In terms of weighting, the qualitative data provides a little bit more of a deeper understanding of the student responses, so it will be slightly weighted toward qualitative data. In terms of mixing data, the open-ended focus questions that shed light on the close-ended finite answers of the survey will really enrich this study. The emergent codes and student quotes, which occur from the qualitative data, will help us understand why students feel the way they do. The survey results that are produced through means and the t-test results only provide levels of agreement or identify the frequency that something happens. So in terms of the variables that will be measured in the quantitative portion of the study, you see here that the independent variable for research question 1 is goal orientation, and the dependent variable is social emotional well-being. However, in research question number 2, the independent variable is more about course rigor, whether they take an AP or college prep course, and the dependent variable is the goal orientation itself. The qualitative measures are based on research question number 1. So around goal orientation, here are some sample questions. How hard do you work in your courses? Why do you work hard or why don't you work hard? Is it important to get good grades? Why or why not? In terms of well-being for research question number 1, you'll see how would you describe your overall stress level? How do you perceive your relationship with your teacher, with your parents, and how do you think others perceive you? The mixed methods portion, the question is research question number 3. Do the focus group responses from students explain or provide further insight to the survey responses? So when we go to collect the data during the quantitative portion, here is the sequence of events. Basically, quantitative data happens first in an explanatory sequential design. We're using 11th to 12th grade AP and college prep courses. Time will be arranged with the teacher to take the survey during the course so that kids don't have to do it as for homework or outside of the class time, which will ensure greater participation. Students will be taking a survey, and it will have questions from 2 scales that are already established. The first is the behavior and emotional screening system, which addresses well-being, and the second is called the goal orientation scale, which addresses goal orientation. And you can see here on the slide some of the aspects of each of those scales. Both can be collected digitally. Students can access them right on their cell phone, and so therefore the results can be transferred right into a spreadsheet like Excel and analyzed digitally. Once they're collected, whether it's SPSS or some other professional statistical software, the analysis can begin almost right away. In terms of the qualitative data, basically, because again, it's an explanatory sequential design, it will happen after the quantitative data, and the pool of students will be from the same 11th and 12th grade courses, AP and college prep that we had established with the survey. The students will be called out of class and participate in a focus group, which should take about 45 minutes to an hour. There will be 2 groups of 6 to 8 students each. One group will have AP students and the other will have college prep students. They'll be mixed by grade level, genders, and goal orientation. And the students will listen and respond to about 10 open-ended questions asking about their well-being and their goal orientations in order to address the questions of this study. The lead researcher will record all the conversations and take field notes while conducting the interviews. So the data analysis plan. Basically, in the quantitative data, as you can see here, there will be descriptive statistics, a univariate analysis, a bivariate analysis, and SPSS most likely will be the software program used to analyze the data. In terms of qualitative data, the recorded conversations will be transcribed verbatim using a program called Otter or the Google voice typing option in Google Docs. And coding will take place on 3 levels and ultimately will be analyzed using a program called QDA Minor Light. In terms of how the data will be integrated in our data analysis plan, basically we have a couple of ways here. The initial quantitative result may help create category terms that will be used during the coding process of the qualitative portion of the study. Also, the qualitative themes that emerge will help explain the connections between well-being and goal orientation. Finally, the advantage of using a mixed methods approach is that the researchers will gain the value of a larger sample through the survey, but the focus groups will add valuable insight on the student motivation beyond what the survey can reveal. This provides a more complete and more complex understanding of student goal orientations and its impact on social emotional health. Finally, we have here a list of references. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you this research proposal.